Like, the first time I played this, I thought like, what is this Mozart? I mean, who writes music like that? Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, I'm going to take you to a Mozart sonata, the first movement of the C major sonata number 7, Kachelbezeichnnis 309. This is one of the most difficult pieces of Mozart to approach, to understand, and to really see his genius. Why am I saying that? Because he's using, at least in the first movement, so little material, not much. And he's using also some patterns that are at first hard to understand. Maybe you could say a little boring. But of course, the trick with Mozart is always to see through that and to come at the other side. And then there is a paradise of music. I'm in the midst of recording all of Mozart, and as this is also part of the tempo reconstruction project, I am following the metronomization given by Czerny. Why Czerny? There's Czerny again. Yes, but Czerny actually lived very close to Mozart. It's the closest we can get in order to reconstruct what kind of tempo he had in mind. And you all know, changing the tempo changes everything. It sets your floor for all other aspects, articulation, phrasing, whatever, the character of the piece. I'm following Czerny whenever he gave metronome marks, and in this case he gave quarter note 152. Well, if you take that literally, that's very fast. Of course, we take that in a whole beat approach, which is a little different in that sense that we don't say like quarter note, quarter note, ta ta ta. That would be very difficult. We say quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note. Very much like you would conduct. Okay, there we go. You know, sometimes you talk to people that say like Mozart, yeah, whatever, like yards, cadenzas and things like that. It's so simple, and in a way, I understand that. I mean, if you talk about Bach, it's much more complex. Even if you talk about the Haydn sonata, which we might do in the future, Haydn is in a way more elaborate. Like he has his motives. It's a little bit more baroque. It's so difficult to approach for many of you. I know that. I've been there myself. You have to really get used to that style. And then, of course, again, the huge door to that musical paradise opens. But Mozart is, and especially in this sonata, is bringing basically nothing. So just the beginning. I mean, what is this? And these are the long notes we're talking about. It's like a concerto. Not a concerto, it's like a symphony. It's like a transcription of a symphony, like full orchestra. Okay, we can... And now you can say, okay, at the beginning, fine. But if we go further in the middle part, you have, it begins like in G minor, of course. He's playing with this motif. Very beautiful then. Let me just play this. I mean, this is Mozart. What is happening there? Why is this so beautiful? I mean, compare that to a fugue of Bach. How can we actually enjoy both styles? You tell me. But then he comes here, and that's a weird place in the middle part. He's going back to the recapitulation of the exposition. A minor. By this time, we know the motive. And then he goes in a kind of weird, like doubling like the lead tone. I don't know if I find that beautiful. Same. And then he arrives back at the beginning. A few bars later again, in C minor. So a lot of times this motif happens, and it's one of the most difficult things to play. It's like long notes and long pauses. Musicians tend to have fear of silence. But if you take the risk of playing long notes long enough and long pauses long enough, then you will see that the audience follows if you do it properly. What is properly here? Well, we have this tempo. Let's go back to our tempo. So we are actually hearing 6th and 8th notes. The trick of long notes is playing them long enough, and even better, longer than shorter. If I play these too short, let's do like many people might tend feeling doing this in this tempo. Like then you would have this. Doesn't work because you give like, you start with long notes, at least Mozart does, but you as a performer, you of course have to follow what he says in the score. You're performing his music. And so you had to have at the beginning these long notes. And if you then actually compress those notes into shorter notes compared to the tempo that you have, then the audience says like, but why do you give us these long notes? We don't feel the rhythm, we don't feel the tempo, and that's very dangerous. When your audience doesn't feel the tempo, the beats, it doesn't have any anchor points. So the trick is just to embrace that, to own that, and to go even deeper than that. Like really go to the edge. And you just count in full. Now, if you do that, one last trick. And once we have our learning platform, then I will be talking about this more in detail. But the timing of it is, of course, essential. When you would play it like this, I'm going to demonstrate you with full length and how it doesn't work. So what happened here? Of course, this was like not articulated, a little boring. But then the last C, and I'm sorry, I don't have my tablet now. I forgot to charge my pen. Next video we'll have it back. So, but it's easy to follow. We're just at the beginning. So this C in bar 2, what's happening with that? The length of that is very important. Listen. Everybody feels that I'm falling on my both feet, so to say, here. Okay. If I play the C too long, this happens. You break the music. You break the music in the sense that that C gets too much attention, too much emphasis, it's too strong, and that drags the beat there to the ground. And now this is important, when you play in whole beat, when you play slower, I mean many of you, 95%, will never play this piece faster than this. But you'll have the idea, the impression, that's what mainstream music and hip music gives you, I mean, we have to say it like it is, that you're playing too slow and you wake up with the idea, I'm playing this as an amateur. No, this is what Mozart had in mind. There is no other solution to that. Solution that's whole beat. If you do not accept that, then you have to accept the fact that thousands of metronome marks out of the 19th century, which were meant to be played as exact tempo indications, will never be reached again, the speeds. That doesn't make any sense. Apart from the 500-page book that hopefully I'm publishing soon, and all the theory and all the context and the sources behind that, this is enough for you to know that this is the tempo Mozart had in mind, Czerny had in mind for Mozart. And so many of you will be playing this automatically like that. And so these passages are difficult, and you have to find a way to really present them to yourself and your audience, whoever you're playing for yourself in the first place, to make sure that you do not drag the beat down into the bottom, because then the music sinks in that bottom. So how do we do that? Again, we play the notes at full length, and we make sure that whenever we have like a bridge to a next bar, that, like for instance here, the C on the third beat, that we don't make it too heavy, that the third beat gets the proper accent, the proper weight, so to say. Length of notes, super important. And suddenly you have the tension, what you want. What you have to be looking for. There is like this presentation at the beginning, like the full orchestra is there, but it's not like in a kind of dynamic way as we would tend to see that music today in many instances. It's just noble. It's there like, here I am. An excellent piece, by the way, to learn to play music. The whole sonata, by the way, is genius. So, and then he continues. He's just telling a story. But, I mean, what is here interesting? It is like very simple harmony. Like if you follow harmony in class, that is like in the first month you can write this. What Mozart is doing here is, of course, using these simple harmonies, but he is planting seeds everywhere, and those little seeds will come back at the right time, at the proper time. And that's something I cannot demonstrate for you now, because we would have to play the entire piece. But at the end of that piece, when everything comes back like very randomly, or of course organized, but you have the feeling, oh, there it is again. There it is this again, there's that again, in a different tonality, that at the end of the piece you feel like this was a complete journey. And that is what Mozart is. Mozart is able to make out of nothing something that you feel as very important. And that's the mystery of Mozart. And therefore people sometimes say like, but it's about nothing, most music. No, it's about proportions. It's about knowing when to give some elements. And here in this piece, he is bringing that to the bare minimum. Okay, there we go again. in terms of character, it could very well be as a projection, like speculation, of course. Like you have there that girl that you compose this piece for. Let's assume she's very beautiful, and let's assume Mozart like had a little bit of an eye on her. Then it is like her walking in the park. Tension, but tension in the life of a girl at that time, like in the upper class, is the only thing you will have or will happen. Very innocent. Again, orchestra. Erasing that feeling. Again, as if nothing happens, he continues. A little elaboration. Tension. Question mark. Raising the question mark. And now the answer. Very simple, eh? Like, what is this? Like, the first time I played this, I thought like, what is this Mozart? I mean, who writes music like that? But if you look through the glasses of the character of the piece, orchestra, tender sentence, like the girl walking in the park with a little sun umbrella. Have that image. It's more 19th century than 18th century, whatever. And then here, he just continues in the same. It's about that. He is actually molding, so to say, the character, very fragile, tender character of the piece. Again, 6th grade, A minor. And then comes something new. So the entire beginning is based around the idea of tenderness. And the full orchestra at the beginning, these long notes, they actually erase that feeling a little bit, or they enhance it. It's just by contrast. It's just how you see it. Both work in the same have the same effect. If we'd say like it erases it, then it comes back and it is stronger. When you say it enhances it, yeah, because it like make you feel the motive is coming back. So, but this tenderness, this kind of light blue color, or light green if you want, I mean colors, whatever, is there at the beginning. And now comes the second theme. It's contrast. It's like the young guy who sees the girl. It's like suddenly we have this. Watching behind the tree, like watching the girl. I mean, it's just fantasizing. You can make a story whatever you want. I know you cannot make a story. I never make stories when I play. But it might help for you to understand the contrast here. It's almost like somebody's riding a horse, you know. Look the difference. With nothing. That's the masterful hand of young Mozart. Much more busy. Here. And we only get to the second theme right now, actually. Again, tenderness. There she is again, walking. I mean, this kind of projections is only helpful to make you understand the character of the piece. You have to grasp something there in order for you to play it. I mean, it's not that you have to feel it, but you have to understand it. You have to give it like a direction, because that will help you in like being very calm here. Like people today, many musicians would be able, but there's nothing here. You have to feel like something like urging or whatever. No, this is it. Again, he is not shy of repeating that. And of course you can make a little bit of embellishments. Maybe in Mozart it's very difficult to do that. But during the recording, sometimes you feel a need like here I can do something a little bit. But Mozart is very difficult to elaborate upon because everything is actually there. It's what the people said in the 19th century. They say don't add anything to Mozart. That's maybe a little exaggeration or exaggerated, but I get the feeling. And then here. Normal cadenza, like. But he's using that again to build this character of fragility, like tenderness. And if you go further into the development, he has here the same motive. Unbelievable. How do you explain that? It is so simple. But he is timing this at the right moment. That's like the genius of Mozart. What Mozart is doing here is bringing everything in music back to its bare minimum. And in order for you to do that as a composer, you have to master composition so much. It's so much easier to give like elaborated sentences and phrasings and like bel canto, like ornamentation in the right hand and be very virtuosic and whatever. No, he's reducing everything to its bare minimum. And then he's producing this first movement. We're going to talk about the other movements as well because they are just stunning. And it's hard to explain why it works. It's hard to explain why it works. Like we had videos recently with Bach and with Brahms and with Sweelinck, and then you can play the harmonies, only the harmonies, or just one. Like in the Bach video, I just played two voices, lower voices, and it was already like almost polyphonic style of the highest level. And there is a lot to talk about because you have this ingenious way of like, do you say that like that? Of making things, of composing things, and of course Bach does it. But here you don't have that, like you have things like that here, suddenly. Still standing still again. It's that. And if you listen to this, the final point I will make, if you listen to this music, we have forgotten a little bit to listen to music like this. It's a pity. Just to sit back, relax, have nothing in mind. We are so ingrained with this performance practice, both mainstream and hip, like of urge, like this drive forward and to have the sentence and to have to feel like the bars and to that there is a constant tension in listening and in playing. And it has to do with tempo, of course. The faster you go, the more you lose of this character. If you change the tempo a little bit, you will lose that originally light blue. There will be dark blue, there will be more dramatic, there will be and then these long notes will play against you. Because these long notes will fall in no man's land. But this urge to go over the bar, to feel that, to do whatever. And when you listen to music like this, that's a little bit our problem or challenge, so to say, is that people are not used anymore to listen like that. When you do 3 times, you are saved forever, because you will have the feeling of very calmly exploring something from above. And it's just displayed to you in a very noble way. You don't have to do anything. You have to just relax, open your mind, and the music will come by itself. Sit back and relax. Some people I say like, shut up. People are judging all the time. Hey, I know this recording that is, and you play it so slow. Yeah, but slow to compare to what? Something you know. You shouldn't know anything when a person plays music for you. This should be new. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know. I will definitely make another video about the Andante a Polka Adagio. It's unbelievable music. Young Mozart already. For me, discovering Mozart from so close in this recording project, unbelievable. I feel blessed. Okay, guys, that was it for today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Also, check out our Patreon site. There are a lot of great people there. We have a Discord as well for you if you want to join that. And there's a lot of content there. And of course, my patrons support these projects and will enable me to make these videos for you. Okay, thank you for watching again. We see each other very soon again.